Hey guys, welcome back. Another freaking live stream. The vibes is a little bit more chill right now, as you can tell. My Sagittarius moon has not come out to play at the moment. At this current point in time, Saggy moon is toe, is calm, and it is toe. Okay, toe is about stability. It's a Māori word for stability, and also the earth. It's also a word for the year, but anyways, besides the point. I just want to double check to make sure that the live is running smooth because in the past YouTube has fucked me over. So let's just double check that. So YouTube hasn't fucked me over. And then we can get straight into it. Actually, that just made me think as well. That's another reason for me to veer away from the live stream situation because I'm very comfortable with live streams, but if my live stream is going to keep stuffing up, then get straight into it. Actually. Okay, cool. We're good on that front, so we're good on everything else. Twitch, I don't really mind so much because I don't know. I don't even know what I do on Twitch, but anyways. So when it comes to the video that I'm about to get into, I'm going to be talking about my testimony, of course, as you can tell with the title. So my testimony is going to be about where I came from and how I got here, aka, what I've written in the title. I state the obvious sometimes, I've noticed. I'm starting to notice a pattern of me stating the obvious. So when it comes to what led me here, first of all, I want to preface as well by saying that here, when I say here, I don't want anyone to get the wrong idea and think that I somehow think that I've like accomplished something or I've achieved some kind of goal or aspect, which I have, in my own world, in my own perspective of it. But I also know that there's always goals to be achieved. There's always more to be gained. There's always more to be growing and expanding into. So when I say what led me here, I'm just talking about this specific point in my life and this specific point in time. There's always going to be a series of here's that I'm going to be led to, but here specifically, talking about mainly me being a content creator or making content. I don't even like that word content creator because if you've seen the state of content creators these days, damn, that shit is whack. But being someone who makes videos and making videos in a way that I do, and then also being, into the stuff that I'm into, astrology, spirituality, all that kind of stuff, which arguably I was still into this stuff at the time that I'm going to reference during this video, but my view of it, I was more into it as a hobby kind of perspective rather than nowadays I actually live and breathe this type of shit. So, back then it was more of a hobby. Nowadays it's more of my lifestyle. It's the way I live my life. It's the way I carry out. I was going to say my duties and obligations. So I guess you could say that could be something you could call it. But, just my responsibilities, my life, my actions, the way I express myself. Bunny rabbit. Sipping on some tea. I was making the thumbnail and then I saw that freaking teacup and then I was like, that's so cute. And I was like, no, I have to go make tea. So it took me a little bit longer to actually get on here, but we got there eventually. So, that's also a testimony there in itself, a mini little testimony. That's not funny, bro. That's not funny. Why the fuck you laughing? But yeah, anyways, so starting it off, I want to say about a year or about a year and a half ago or 2 years. I'm pretty sure I've mentioned this in my videos already. About a year and a half or or 2 years ago, I pretty much was at like my lowest point. I would say I was very very depressed. I was very anxious. I didn't like COVID kind of energy. So you guys can imagine how people were with when COVID hit, and how a lot of people were very secluded and within their homes. So for me, that wasn't just because of COVID. If anything, COVID actually made me get out more. COVID was like a thing for me to be like, oh, fuck. It was a thing for me to actually be like, nah, fuck that. I'm gonna get out. I'm gonna go do what I want to do, type of thing, you know. But in a general sense, I wasn't going out in general. So the whole how idea how everyone stayed in during COVID, that's just how it was. Period. So no, COVID didn't really do much to me. Like none of that shit really made a difference to me because I was just like that. Period. I just didn't really go out much. I had very few goals. I had very few aspirations, and I didn't even take care of myself properly. Didn't even like do a lot of things, a whole shit ton of things. My beard was overgrown, like the list goes on, but you can get the idea of how I was. I was very much like a bum type of individual, and I didn't really care for it. I didn't care about myself. I didn't care about. Oh, I probably cared about other people, I would say. I was gonna say I didn't care about other people. Honestly, I cared way more about other people than I cared about myself. And I put an unhealthy amount of care in the people around me at a detriment to myself, which in turn made them not feel like they wanted to care about me, because why would you want to care about someone who doesn't care about themselves? Like that's an unhealthy practice in itself, and I've learned that as well over the years, that putting your care into other people who don't care about themselves is literally a waste of your care. It's not going to get you anywhere, because what at the end of the day they're going to take that same care that you have for them and they're going to throw it in the trash, just like the care they have for themselves, you know. So when it comes to this perspective and this space that I was in back in those days, I genuinely didn't really see too much of a problem with it, especially quite a lot of the other things. And I can even say this, like a lot of you people out there who may be watching this video, or just generally the general population in general, I can see a lot of my traits, how I was back then, but I see it in more subtle, low key ways in a lot of other people in the world as a general population. And a lot of people don't see themselves this way, but because I've been in that space and I know how it is, but I was in an extreme kind of aspect. I was deep in that energy. Whereas a lot of people in the world, they're not so deep into it, but they're still in it, and it's more consistent. So arguably that is still deep, but in their own way. And this is why everyone carries out things in their own individual way. But I can see the characteristics and the qualities in a lot of different people who may not actually even resonate. They may hear me saying this and think that's not even me, but those are the exact people I'm talking about. Is those kind of people who think that everything's fine, that they're not in that space, but actually they are. And they think that they have goals or aspirations, but actually they don't, you know? And this is kind of the space that I was in. I actually didn't have anything going for me, internally or externally. And a whole bunch of the stuff that I did have going for me was built on a bunch of egos and false ideas and illusions in my mind of what I thought a goal or aspiration or a dream was. But there was no action, there was no carrying out, you know, there was no actual passion to be expressed. There was passion to be felt. I felt passionate all I wanted to. But when it came to actually expressing and acting on those, that was where it fell short. So it was like textbook kind of example of someone who is all talk and no action, you know? So that's very air sign and earth sign of me. And I ended up going to New Zealand because I grew up in Australia, if you guys don't know. I ended up going to New Zealand and living there for about a year and a half to 2 years. And thinking that me going to New Zealand would somehow, I don't know, help me because it's the birthplace of my body, and it's my home country. So thinking that going back there would help me to reconnect to a part of myself that I've lost, which in some ways, in some ways it did, in a lot of ways it did, and in other ways it didn't. So we'll get into that. When it came to me going to New Zealand, I noticed a big decline, a massive decline. So I thought I was, like, looking back now, like I thought I was like not that great. And then me going to New Zealand, I was like, yeah, maybe this will help me to kind of grow and expand and change and evolve. But then going to New Zealand, I actually noticed a more deeper decline, or a more steeper decline, in my mental health, my physical health. And this is also partly due to me. I put my creativity on the back burner. I put my the things that I love, the things that I was passionate about, I put all of that on the back burner because of connections, friendships, relationships, and all that. Like, not romantic, because I haven't really had much of romantic relationships in my life. So when it comes to those energies, I just put so much time into my friends. I put so much time, specifically one individual person. I put majority of my time into that one individual person. And I'm not sitting here and saying that this is that person's fault at all. I'm just saying that that was my fault for putting my time and placing it where I knew it didn't actually belong. Because I knew how, when I would delve into my creative side, or express my passions, how it would actually help me and heal me. But I still didn't go for it. I still didn't fight for it. And that was due to me not having that serious quality of actually being able to carry out things properly. So then I just threw my creativity completely on the back burner. And I was like, why is my life happening like it is? Like, why do I feel like this? Why do I feel like that? And then I started to focus on the negatives. And then as well, when other people would notice things about me, then I would take that on, and I'll be like, yeah, maybe something is wrong with me. And so I would start to believe all these things about myself. And if you know anything about life, you know that your beliefs will create your reality, no matter how hard you try. If you could think that your beliefs don't change your reality, you can even strongly believe that your beliefs don't change your reality. But that belief in itself is still changing your reality to not believe in it. So even then, your beliefs is where all the power is at. Your faith, belief, and your imagination. Oh, there it is again, guys. This is the textbook yawn. About 10-12 minutes in, the yawn comes. So when it comes to, and the textbook when it comes to, so so then I started to notice an even steeper decline. Obviously, you can kind of get the idea of where I'm going. Basically, I just, like, completely lost all care. I didn't even shower most days. Sometimes I'll go like days and days without shower, and this was a lot due to, as well, the fact that I felt completely uncomfortable in the house that I was in, and I was unwilling to accept this. I was blinded by my own ego, blinded by my own care for others around me, blinded by all of my mind states that I'd created, because I wanted to be a good person. I wanted to be respectful. I wanted to be this. So without actually being myself and realizing that that was what would get me to where I actually wanted to be. So I was like walking on eggshells in this house that I was staying at, which was one of my friends, the friend that I actually spend majority of my time with, and put my creativity on the back burner, with, well, not with, because they didn't really have um, that much creativity at that time, from my knowledge. I mean, but that's besides the point. I'm just talking about the story. I don't want to get too deep into them and their whole story and stuff. If they want to make a video on that, they can. Up to them. But I felt like I was walking on eggshells. I didn't feel at home. I didn't feel welcome. I felt like I had to kind of tread lightly where I was going around this house. So that's one of the things that led me to not wanting to take a shower, not wanting to take care of my hair and all this kind of stuff. So it led to me just looking like an absolute mess. I'll get a photo up for you guys so you can actually see what I'm talking about. Because a picture will tell 1,000 words, and I don't want to sit here and go over and over explaining how I was when I could just show you guys a picture and you'll be able to know straight away what kind of space I was in. So, fuck, I really hate that word. Bish, fuck out of here, Tweedledum, Tweedledee. So, well, I can't find the one that I was looking for. I thought I had the one on Snapchat, but it's actually on my Facebook Messenger. So, that is not ideal, guys. That is not ideal. But, you can't really tell with this one because I've got a filter on. But the unkemptness is there. I have the filter on though, so it kind of makes me look a lot more tidy. But my fullness of my beard, like, for me, I mean, everyone's different. Some people like a full beard. For me, that is a bad sign. If my beard is looking like that, that is usually not a good sign. Because when do you guys ever see me on here with a full beard? Normally my beard's quite trimmed. It's very, short. I like to keep it trimmed. I like to keep it mostly tidy. Sometimes I can't because other reasons that I don't want to get into. Let me see if I can find this actual photo that I wanted to find. So, in a sense, it was a blessing in disguise as well, because it helped me to really gain clarity on who I was and also who other people were around me. So really seeing things for what they are rather than getting lost into my mind states and my egos that I was lost into constantly. So overall, it was generally a positive experience, but not entirely, because it just made me, bruh, this is the one that I was looking for, but it's bad. Wait, is that even the one? No, that is not the one. So there's a worse one. There's a worse one, guys. So yeah, I loved that I'm doing this too, because it feels real natural for me, because I'm like such an open book shoot. I don't give a fuck, so I don't know what other people are all private in their life. They don't like to share too much. But if you met me in real life, you'll know, like, I'm literally an open book. I would tell you all of this stuff and even more. Oh wow. Throwback to when I made my first kit there while I was looking for that photo. That is one thing that I did that really helped me. And this was when I was actually getting better when I was in New Zealand. So that was my way of trying to explore my creativity and get back into it as well. Well, one of the ways, because I don't really weave as a constant type of thing. But creatively speaking, my thing is more freestyling, writing music, producing beats nowadays, but back in those days, there was a lot of freestyling and writing poems as well. That was my main thing. It was like my outlet to try and heal myself. Mind you, all this time I was doing spiritual classes that was like aimed at helping me to kind of rise above and get out of all this stuff. But I seem to be getting worse and worse. And alright. And this obviously took a toll on my self-esteem too, because in my mind I was like, I'm doing spiritual classes and I keep getting worse and worse. Like, what the fuck is going on here? It just didn't seem right, and I was starting to blame myself, talk down on myself, real negative type of stuff, and like really wishing death on myself, like fully wishing death on myself. So this is me again. That's the beach that I used to go to. This was when I was starting to get better, starting to improve, started going out more, started going to the beach more. I look a lot more happy and more alive there than I did when I was in the thick of it. So I was just creating. The whole point of this video, basically, I want to get people to understand that the whole time I was creating this for myself. As much as, you know, people would like to look at it and people would like to think, wow, poor you had to suffer through that depression and that sadness and that heaviness. But I don't see it like that. I don't see it like I was suffering through it or anything like that. My perspective is actually like, oh, that was the photo. Yeah, that was the photo. So bear with me, guys. Prepare yourself mentally for this photo. I'm pulling a face as well, so it kind of makes it worse. But bitch, be looking. I look older. How do I look older when I was younger? So the whole point of it is that I was creating this for myself. Whether you want to equate it to me not being creative and using that outlet, or whether you want to equate it, I would equate it to my mentality. I was talking and wishing those things upon myself. I saw myself in that way. So what happened? My reality started to follow suit. And then I started to be that way. So when it came to, damn, that is a bomb ass braid. When it came to, you know, me experiencing it, obviously, you know, I would start to experience what I was thinking and how I was believing myself to be. And especially because I was taking that on from others. I was like, when other people would say that I was like really, really bad, I would take that on from others and I would be like, yeah, I was like really, really bad, and so on and so forth. So it just was like, no go. I just became a shell of myself, as you can see. Like, that doesn't even look like me in that photo. I look like a criminal, I'm not even gonna lie. I look like a straight up crim. No offense to anyone who looks like that, you know, but to me, that's criminal material, babes. Anyways, enough of the photos. I think that's enough. I think I've overdone it with the photos, but you get the idea. You get the idea of how I was. You get the perspective of what kind of space I was in. And all of it was because of how I was thinking and how I was feeling. It wasn't because I got treated like shit, although that was definitely a part of it, you know. But it wasn't because I was surrounding myself with negative people, although that was a part of it. That was a massive part of it too. The negative person at the end of the day was me. And I had to look in the mirror. You know, I had to really take a good hard look in the mirror, to the point where like my physical body started to make me have a good hard look in the mirror, you know, because I wasn't really taking that time to do it properly. I wasn't healthily taking that look in the mirror and seeing what I needed to fix and what I needed to change, because I thought If I just move countries, then things will get fixed. No, it was like an easy way out kind of mentality where I was just looking for a quick fix, you know? How can I quickly become better? How can I quickly rise out of this shit? How can I easily rise out of this stuff without actually doing the work and changing my mind state and changing my beliefs, changing the way I saw myself? I wanted all that to happen in an instant. It's like I wanted a handout basically. And majority of people in the world are like this. And most people in the world will look at me and be like, that couldn't be me. But I can guarantee majority, like probably 95 to 98% of the world, that might even be generous. 95 to 98% of the world is in that state where they just want a handout. And it may not be on that level as how I was, on that extremity, but I guarantee in some way, shape, or form, whether it's for your job, whether it's for some spiritual energy, whether it's for happiness, whether it's for fulfillment, whether it's for your goals and your dreams and your aspirations, in some way, shape, or form, majority of the world wants a spiritual handout, wants something to just fall on their lap. And then they turn around and complain about how they're in a shit situation, and at the end of the day, they're the ones who's constantly creating and perpetuating that shit situation that they constantly complain about. So let me be a reflection to you and see that I came from that extreme to come all the way down to this, to come all the way up to this extreme, to the point where I'm on your video, I'm on your screen right now, and I'm talking to you and telling you that you need to change your reality. Like I said in the title, in the thumbnail, sorry, your world won't change. What did I say? I forgot it. Your reality will not change unless you do this, or you won't change shit, or something like that. You get the idea. Shit ain't gonna change unless you do this one thing. What is that one thing, guys? If you have watched to this point of the video, I'd hope that you know what the one thing is. That thing, that thing, that thing. No, it's not that thing. It's not that thing, guys. It is not that thing. But it is that one thing. It's that one thing called your mentality, baby. That one mentality, that mind state, that perspective, that everything. And I don't care what you're going through. I don't care if you are freaking on your deathbed in some way, shape, or form. That might be a bit harsh, but you know, I just want to try and drive my point home. And you guys, I'm sure if you guys are watching this video, you can understand where I'm coming from. There's always something you can do. There's always a perspective that you can change. This is why even people who are on their deathbed can have so much to love and appreciate for, because they realize they've come to this same realization that I've come into. But for me, it didn't take for me to be on my deathbed. It took me for me to nearly get close to there. As you can tell from the photos. I mean, you can't really tell that easily from those photos, but I definitely could tell being in that I was going towards that. You know, I was striving for that deathbed. That's why I started to look malnourished. I started to feel dead. I started to feel malnourished. Even people kept telling me, like, you look dead. And nowadays, everyone tells me, well, not everyone, but quite a few people tell me, you look alive. You look so much more alive. You look so much more healthy now. Because they know how I was back then. And if you don't know how I was back then you'll probably just think not much has changed. But people can go through a lot of stuff in the time that you haven't seen them. So you need to know that too. And for me, that wasn't just 2 years. Because my time possession, when I came back from New Zealand and I came to Australia, I felt like I'd been gone for a lot longer than 2 years. And that's also due to the fact that I was in such a low state of being. I was in such a heavy state of being. So time was going slower. I was vibrating at a very low rate. So time and everything, my experience was slower. So everything was just it felt like I was there for like a millennia. Like I was frozen in time. Like it was crazy. So, yeah. Don't let yourself be frozen in time. Whether it's on a big scale or a small scale or a medium scale. I don't care where you're at, you always should be striving and aiming to change your perspective, to grow, to expand. I don't give a shit if you think that you have grown the most in your life and you think that there's not really much you could do to even grow anymore. You still need growth. That right there is a sign that you need growth, because there's always going to be growth. There's always going to be change. And I've known this since I was a kid all the way up until now. But it's taken until now for me to fully embody it, if that makes sense. To fully embrace that in its concept. So now it becomes something that I actually start to live by. Now it actually becomes something that I want to aim towards. As opposed to before, it was just something that I knew. So change yourself, take yourself out of that space of knowing and take yourself into that more of that space of being wise and being able to apply your knowing, because that's where growth happens. That's where change happens. That's where evolution, that's where abundance, that's where everything that everyone strives or tries to aim for happens. And as long as people stay in the knowing, they're not going to be able to get to this point, because they are just know-it-alls. A whole bunch of people just know-it-alls, just walking around thinking they know it all, thinking they've got everything in the bag. And some people might even look at me in this video and think, look at this guy, he thinks he knows it all. No, I don't. Oh, did you not just hear me? I just said that everyone should be striving and aiming to grow and expand and change. So that includes growing your knowledge, growing your wisdom, expanding your change. So if you think that I'm coming from a space of know-it-all, you may need to look in the mirror, because you're actually self-reflecting. But that's another video as well. Definitely could be another topic to create. So, what are you going to be? Are you going to be that person that knows it all and just self-reflects and looks at people like me who are actually embodying and being whatever I talk about, and try and paint people like me into some kind of picture in your mind? Or are you going to realize that you're looking at yourself in the mirror all along? Because I've taken a good hard look at myself in my mirror, and I've been able to see the things that a lot of people are too afraid to look at. I've been able to see the ugly parts of myself and others that most people are too afraid to even consider. My friend wouldn't do that. My auntie wouldn't do that. Oh no, they wouldn't think that. Oh no, they wouldn't be like that. Yes, they would. Bish, the fact that you even have to double question someone, yes, the fuck they would. Okay? So, and yes, the fuck you would. So, take a good hard look in the mirror, guys. That's really all I wanted to say. And, yeah. It's a little short testimony for you guys, talking about how I got to this point and how I changed my perspective, how I grew. Actually, yeah, because I kind of left out the end part. I kind of more talked about the negatives and then just kind of skimmed over the positive. But the whole positive aspect was how I changed my perspective. I changed my mind state. Instead of thinking negative about myself, I started to think positive about myself. Even to the point where, because I'd thought so negative about myself, I even got to that point where everyone around me was seeing it, because I'd projected that into my reality. But because I'd reached that point where I knew what I was doing at that point, I knew to ignore what they were saying. Like, I just let shit go in one ear and out the other. And I still do that with majority of the people in my life. And people don't even really give me their opinions anymore, but they used to back in those days. But nowadays, I'll just let it go in one ear and out the other, especially if it's an opinion about me and how I'm living my life. If you're a fixed sign, you shouldn't be taking other people's advice like that. Don't get me wrong. It's always good to hear people out and take people's advice because it can be beneficial. But if you're a fixed sign, you should actually be fixating on your own way of seeing, thinking, feeling, whatever about things. Because that's fixed. You know? When other people come in and they tell you how to do things, they bring their mutable, they bring their cardinal. They're you just got out of your fixed energy. You were supposed to be fixed. It doesn't matter as a fixed sign. Sometimes it doesn't even matter, and this applies to anyone as well. But like heavy on the fixed sign energy. Doesn't matter if you're wrong or you're right. As long as you have that fixated energy, you will be led eventually. You'll gain that sense of energy to be able to be led to be fixated onto something that's right. Or if you've got that sure energy, that's really what I'm thinking about. That sure energy, that certainty, then you'll be led to actually be revealed on what's really true and what's right. And that applies for everyone, but heavy on the fixed sign energy. So if you're a fixed sign, pay attention to that and be aware of that. If you're any sign, then pay attention and be aware of that, of course. Why does it feel like that? Anyways, I had to have that cognitive dissonance, and I had to gaslight myself into believing the unbelievable, the impossible. And without that, I wouldn't be here. I would not be standing in front of you making this video or sitting in front of you today. No joke, I would not. I might be dead. I might be something. But I wouldn't be here. I know that for a fact. For a fact. So, anyways, I'll leave it at that, guys, and I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I'll see you guys for the next episode of Lessons in Law. I'm actually really keen for that video. Lessons in Law's been a fun one, I will say. I've been noticing myself having more fun when I start to put in that fixated Taurus kind of preparation energy. So, yeah. Hope you guys have a great time, day, night, wherever you are. And I want to say this as well. Whakataka te hau ki te ora. Whakataka te hau ki te ora te koe. I don't even know if that makes sense, but it's something that I've been saying a lot lately. Peace. Oh, whakataka te hau ki te ora. That's the wind. Bring the winds of life, or the winds of health. Like, that's like calling the winds of health. The mind state, the energy, the winds. So anyways, I'll leave it at that, guys. Peace.